Yeah, because what we've been teaching, Victor, is the so-called blacks, Hispanics, and the Native Americans are the Israelites according to the Bible. And the reason why this happened to us is because we broke God's commandments. Now, I'm gonna prove that, but we were also showing Victor how we actually got into Africa, because Christ prophesied it in the New Testament. Read Luke 21:20.
Luke chapter 21, verse 20. And when ye shall see Jerusalem compassed with armies.
So during that time, there was a Roman persecution, right? So Christ was under the Roman rule. So he says, he's telling the other Israelites, when y'all see Rome, or when y'all see Jerusalem surrounded with armies, read.
Then know that the desolation thereof is nigh.
Meaning that the destruction of Jerusalem is about to happen. Read.
Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains.
So everybody that's in Judea, in Jerusalem, go to the mountains. So we just read that the closest mountain range is Egypt. So he told everybody to flee into Egypt or flee into Africa.
Right.
Now, we just explained, if the Jews were really white, why would they go into Africa?
Right. Why would that even happen?
Because it did. Right, it never happened. It never happened. When Christ was speaking, he was speaking to so-called black people. He told them to flee into Africa where they could blend in with other dark-skinned people.
That's right.
But read on.
Then let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains, and let them which are in the midst of it depart out.
And those that are in the midst of it depart out, read.
And let not them that are in the countries enter thereinto.
So he said, if y'all are on the outskirts, in like the small little towns, don't go back into Jerusalem, but go into Africa. Read.
For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe unto them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days.
Right, so he's going into, if you have children, it's going to be even harder for you, because guess what? Not only do you got to pack all your stuff, but if you got small kids, it's going to be a nice little journey with small little kids, right? So he's saying that we got to have to go into Egypt, and in there, that's how we spread out into the west coast of Africa, where we actually had thriving communities in Africa before we went to war with the so-called white man who put us on slavery and slave ships. Now, we're still in captivity, and yes, we are at war, but the thing is, our people don't think that we're at war. That is the problem. That is the problem. That is the problem. Now, here, give me this book. Like, I want y'all to see this. I want y'all to hear this. So this book right here is From Babylon to Timbuktu. Now, this was written by Rudolph R. Windsor, who is a black scholar. And this is what he said about what we just read in the Bible. Read that.
From Babylon to Timbuktu. In the year 65 BC, the Roman armies under General Pompey captured Jerusalem in 70 AD.
So in 70 AD, Roman generals captured Jerusalem, where it was a bunch of us, so-called black people, there. They captured the homeland. Read.
General Vespasian and his son Titus put an end to the Jewish state with great slaughter. During the period of the military governors of Palestine, many outrages and atrocities were committed against the residue of the people. During the period from Pompey to Julius, it has been estimated that over 1 million Jews fled into Africa, fleeing from Roman persecution and slavery.
So it says over 1 million of us fled into Africa. Then what you got? Oh yeah, we gonna expand on all that. Yeah, I want y'all to be patient with me. Right, I want y'all to be patient with me. Yeah, but finish. Yeah, read that last sentence.
The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves. The slave markets were full of black Jewish slaves.
So guess what? Jewish. So
That was a long nose right.
exactly. But the thing is, when you say Jewish, if you put ish on the end of anything, it's sort of, kind of. So when they call themselves Jewish, they know that they're not the people of God. Now, give me Jeremiah chapter 14 and verse 2. Right, so watch this. Hey sister, what's your name? Ashley? Ashley. So, what tribe do you come from? right? So we're going to read something about the Israelites, and then we're going to get the curses that actually stick to these nation of people. Read that.
Jeremiah 14 verse 2. Judah mourneth, and the gates thereof languish. They are black unto the ground.
So the Jews are black, people of color. We range from a light skin all the way to a dark skin, right? Right. Not just one shade. So guess what? We've been taught wrong all this time.
And I got one more to say.
What you got?
They'll say something about blending in. Colonization, that's the whole, they stole that, right? They're blending in.
Oh,
You can't notice it.
the so-called white man,
That's the invasion.
the so-called white man, he is a vagabond.
That's right.
Can we say? Yes, they colonized the entire earth. Absolutely.
Fucking bullshit.
Give me Deuteronomy chapter 28.
I knew I wasn't an idiot. I swear to God.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 15. Because y'all want to know how we know that we are the Israelites, right? Sister Ashley, you want to know how we know that we're the Israelites, right? Yeah, we're about to read that. Deuteronomy 28 verse 15.
Deuteronomy chapter 28 verse 15.
Bring it out.
But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee and overtake thee.
So God said to these people on this sign, if you don't hearken, if you don't listen, and you don't do the commandments, that curses would be placed upon you. Is a curse a good or a bad thing?
I don't know anymore. Open up a fucking psyche up. But I'm talking about.
Yeah. It's just asking, is a curse a good or bad thing? It's a bad thing, right? Because there's not a such thing as a bad blessing, right? So there's not a good thing as a good curse, right? So we're about to read some of these curses that actually happen to this group of people, and I want you to tell whether or not it actually happened to us or if it actually pertains to any other nation of people. Read verse 16.
Cursed shalt thou be in the city.
So he says that we will be cursed in the city. What nation of people are cursed in the city? Is it everybody? Or is it particularly, mainly, the people that you see on this sign? So name me some curses, name me some ways that we're cursed in the city. Poverty, right?
Yeah, he said name somebody that was cursed in the city. That's a particular
poverty. So this is the action. So we're going over how we're cursed in the city.
Oh, you want to know a curse?
Yeah.
Oh, you want to know some shit? Oh,
Yeah.
Obama.
Obama, okay.
Barack Obama.
How? What did he do?
He didn't do anything.
Huh?
He didn't
Okay,
do
sis.
shit.
Right, but what we're trying to find out is how we are cursed in the city. So Ashley said poverty.
Our own survival instinct.
Absolutely. But right now we're trying to figure out what ways are we cursed in the city. In every city throughout the earth.
Everybody's on.
There's right, but all right, but listen to me. Every city across the earth, black people are in the worst condition. What parts of the city do they live in? Right, the hood, the slums, right? Right. Right. And also, for example, if you look at or go to Farmington or Bloomfield, how are their streets? Is it clean? Right, they have trash cans everywhere, right? Right.
I don't ever see nobody outside.
Right, absolutely. So
Bunch of bullshit and they fucking the streets up.
right, so that's a curse. That's a curse. But also a curse is have the worst education, the worst water, the worst medical.
The worst people.
Well, yes.
Well, I'm not gonna say they're the worst people. I can't even call them stupid. They're ignorant. They're not aware, man.
Absolutely. And that's why we out here. Yeah, we out here to wake our people up to the conditions that they're in because their conditions directly relate to the Bible. That's what we out here showing.
And they teach them.
Right. Now, I want to show you this. Now, how did we get on this side of the planet? this side of the earth. Well, but what means? Yeah, what mode of transportation? Well, we can't walk like from Africa, right? Okay, so you would agree that we got over here on cargo slave ships, right? Well, I mean the majority of us, because the so-called natives, they was already over here, right? So we're about to read that in the Bible. Give me Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. Read that.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
So he says that the Lord is going to bring us, these people on the sign, into Egypt. Egypt means something. Exodus 22. Right? He said that he's going to bring us into Egypt again. Egypt is synonymous with slavery. Egypt means slavery or a house of bondage. And we're about to read that in the Bible. Get that from me. Exodus chapter 20, verse 2.
Exodus chapter 20, verse 2. I am the Lord thy God, which have brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage.
So Egypt is synonymous with slavery or bondage. All right? So now, we got some understanding to verse 68.
Is the Bible synonymous with slavery?
Yes, yes.
Wait a minute.
All right, verse 28. Hey, everything is going to make sense like once we explain it.
Go ahead. 68. Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68. And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
Into bondage or slavery, but this time you're going on ships. Cargo slave ships. But guess what? It's about to get even more specific. Read. This is, yes, these are people. This is a blueprint of a slave ship. Yes. This is our history. This is in the history books.
That's right.
This is the history that they're not teaching you anymore.
Right.
But read on, because it's going to get even more specific. Watch this. Because let me ask you this. After we got over here on these slave ships, Victor, after we got off these slave ships, what happened to us? Yeah, what did they do?
Oh, apparently.
Well, I mean, what happened to us?
Cover up the mic part.
Right. Well, yeah, we started building something, but something also happened, because didn't people have to buy us?
Yeah, slave trade.
The slave trade, right?
Yeah.
So part of that trade was buying and selling, right? They bought us and they sold us. We're about to read that right here in the Bible. Read on.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
So he said that we're not going to see our homeland again, which is Jerusalem. Read.
And there,
Victor. And there, after we get off those cargoes, Exodus, how you doing?
What the
Exodus.
fuck?
So what we're teaching is who we are according to the Bible. I want you to take a quick look at this sign, and I want you to tell me where you see yourself.
That's some serious shit right there.
Yeah, would you be considered American Black?
Oh my God.
Yeah, would that be your father? American Black? All right, so you would be considered an Israelite from the tribe of Judah. So what we're going over in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28, we're going over curses to prove that we are actually the people of the book. Now, by what mode of transportation did we come over here in slavery? What mode of transportation? Did we walk? Did we airplane? On boats, right? Ships, cargo slave ships. We're about to read about that in the Bible. Read that.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 68.
Bring it out.
And the Lord shall bring thee into Egypt again with ships.
So Egypt is synonymous with bondage or slavery. So he's telling us that we're going to go into slavery or bondage a second time, because remember, Moses led the children of Israel out of Egypt, right? But he says y'all are going to go into slavery a second time, but this time y'all are going to go by ships.
Right.
Read on.
By the way whereof I spake unto thee, thou shalt see it no more again.
He says that we're not going to see our homeland ever again. Read.
And there,
after you got off those cargo slave ships, what's going to happen?
ye shall be sold.
You're going to be what?
Sold.
Who did that happen to? So, right, exactly.
Curse, bro.
Right, that's a curse. So we read about the curses. Now, it's going to get even more specific. So after we got off those cargo slave ships, we're going to be sold, read.
Unto your enemy.
No, unto your friends.
Your enemy.
He says that we will be sold into our enemies.
That's
So
right.
who were the people that brought us on those cargo slave ships? And after we got off those cargo slave ships, we were sold.
Right.
Yeah, but how? Yeah, we did what? How did we bring ourselves? sister, do you think that we voluntarily got on these cargo slave ships? So, right, so what do you think happened? Yeah. No, sister, that did not happen. What?
That was a part of it.
No, that's what we were taught.
Right.
Y'all think that Africa, which is the most abundant in resources on the planet, the continent of Africa is wealthy in diamonds, cobalt, gold, silver, everything. You think that we would leave that land and come over here to be servants?
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right.
I said that in such a way you understand.
Right.
Yeah, you get it.
Right.
That's the curse.
So no, that didn't happen. There was war.
Right.
We lost, and we were forced to get on these cargo slave ships. And after we got off, I want you to start. After you get off,
And there ye shall be sold unto your enemies for bondmen and bondwomen, and no man shall buy you.
it says that after we got off those ships, we'd be sold for slave men and slave women. So guess what? Y'all aren't exempt either. Y'all was on those slave ships with us. Now, y'all know the conditions of those slave ships? Y'all don't know the conditions? Imagine being on a boat for like 6 to 8 weeks underneath the ship to where you're stacked in rows. So if someone is sick, let's say they have a bad case of diarrhea or the bubble guts, and they're chained together, they can't get up and go to the restroom.
No!
So what happened? And it fell down to the next person, to the next person, to the next person. So what happened to the women? When a woman had a menstrual, what happened? Right, so the conditions on those slave ships were horrible, horrendous.
That's right!
Some random white man can just do that to somebody?
Well,
That's what people think.
but the thing is, he did because, actually, I'm not going to tell you, I'm going to read it, why it happened. I want you to go to Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15 again, and we go get...
I'm standing here listening to this. I get
All right, so give me Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15 again. This is why.
Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 15. But it shall come to pass, if thou wilt not hearken unto the voice of the Lord thy God, to observe, to do all his commandments, and his statutes, which I command thee this day, that all these curses shall come upon thee, and overtake thee.
So why did it happen?
You don't know who he is.
Hey bro, how you doing? Yeah, what's your name? Huh? Sean? Hey Sean, I would take a quick look at this sign right here. Where do you see yourself at on the sign? Yeah, would you be considered American black? Yeah? So you would be an Israelite from the tribe of Judah. So what we're going over is we're actually explaining to Victor and the other sister how we know that we are the Israelites. In the book of Deuteronomy, it tells us that we would go into slavery, that curses would happen to these people if they did not do his commandments, right? So one commandment would be what? Yeah, do y'all know any commandments? Thou shalt not kill, right? Thou shalt not kill. Are we breaking that? And we killing people every day? Right. Also, remember the Sabbath day. Are we keeping it the Sabbath day holy? No, that's the fifth or sixth one. Fourth one, I'm sorry. So, remember the Sabbath day. Are we keeping that? The Sabbath day. The Sabbath day is the seventh day.
That's right.
The seventh day, which is Saturday. You're not supposed to buy, sell.
Right.
You're not supposed to work on those days. Are we breaking that? Yes.
We're being taught to go get shit.
Exactly. We're being taught. We're being taught.
We're being taught a perverted way of Israel.
Exactly.
Fucking one.
Exactly. So, yeah, so can you agree with that? So, because we didn't want to do what God told us to do, curses would be placed upon us.
We used to scream black power while Heron was pushed. But at the end of the day, nothing's in vain. IUIC has been given a vision The tents of Judah has risen. Many has attempted the mission. Minor murmuring, omitting, and missing the mark. Just reading that he had the flame of fire in his eyes gave us the spark. We on Paul's mission. We out on the road, purple and gold. From Mexico, Cuba, Haiti, Ghana, Sierra Leone. 144,000 boots banging, concrete crackling. These are our men repented at heart. The scriptures is proof. IUIC, we deliver the truth.